Amachree.
Amachree. Oh, welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I was just talking offline to my guest.
Yeah,
Honored to have with us, Dennis Amachree. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Sorry you had to wait for that the
It's all right.
notification about Taiwan.
Yeah.
So let's talk about now we're going to talk about Nigeria and what's going on there. What do you
hmm
make of let's just get to it. What do you make of the Trump's accusations against Nigeria about Christian genocide?
Well, to be very honest with you, I think we're coming into another scramble for Africa. A new scramble for Africa. The sphere of influence. And then of course the national interests of the superpowers. You were just discussing with your last guest about China, and you can see the extent to which China will go to annex, if possible, some of these areas in the South China Sea. And I think that's what's happening here too, because without any provocation, um, there is this statement from the American president that is going to, send troops into Nigeria and that they are killing Christians. Um, people are being killed, and I really am very worried about the Nigerian government not doing anything about it, or they are doing something but not enough. But it is not a Christian genocide, and calling it a Christian genocide will make it look like they are trying to kill Christians, but Muslims are being killed too. So I think the government will go ahead and explain their own side of the story, for mutual understanding among nations.
Well, let's break this out. I've worked in Nigeria. I've worked all over the world. I've worked in Christian countries. I've worked in Muslim countries. I've worked in Israel. So I worked all over. When you have extremism, when you have extremists kill people. It doesn't matter if they're Christian, Muslim, Jewish. It doesn't matter. I mean, you look at what's happened between Hamas and Israel. You look at what's happening between you had Sunni nations, Iraq and Iran killing each other. Religious divides are definitely there. But when you have extremism, you have extremism in the Christian community, you have extremism in the Muslim community, you have extremism in the Jewish community. I mean, that the face you just do. And so I think it's very important that the world understands that yes, a lot of people are dying and being murdered, but as you said, it's of all faiths, and it's about confronting extremism.
Yeah.
And would you agree? Would you agree with that? That it's about confronting extremism?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And that I think is what the Nigerian government should do. If America is showing concern that Christians are being killed or people are being killed, I expect the Nigerian government to collaborate, with the United States government and deal with it. Get all these terrorists out of Nigeria. I remember some years back when an American was kidnapped in Niger Republic and brought into Nigeria. He came in and they sent some Marines in down there and collaborated with the Nigerian DSS and got the guy out. He was extradited. So um, it's a situation where we have to do collaboration and deal with these extremist people that have bedeviled Nigeria for so long.
Well, it's interesting. Trump's statement, which was just on the one of his statements, which was just on the screen. I mean, he has decided once again to put Nigeria on the list of concerned countries because basically when that happens, that means that there's concerns about religious persecution. What it really means. But in his message, what's interesting, in his message, he talks all about Christians. I mean, listen, I'm a Christian, and he, and but he talks all about Christian. We must protect the Christian faith. We must protect the Christians, and everything coming out of his administration is about protecting the Christians. Well, the reality is, how can you attack a country for religious persecution? And the whole purpose of that law is to ensure religious harmony. And he's not preaching unity. He's preaching, in my opinion, division to some degree because he's talking only about Christians. We must protect
Yes.
Christians. It's not about
Mhm.
protecting Muslims and other faiths, which I find a little ironic. What do you think about that?
Well, I think President Trump is appealing to the evangelicals in the United States, because that's his base. And basically, he will appeal to them that, oh, we are still protecting the faith, especially in Africa. It's an excuse. I strongly believe it's an excuse to go into Nigeria or to tell them that, yeah, let's keep the faith. Because in America, I think there is a lot of dissensions here, right? Here and there. The government have been shut down for more than a month. There have been protests all over the place about no kings and stuff like that. But these are politics, and when you mix those with security, when you politicize security, it becomes a real big problem. But I think that's the direction that it's going.
Well, I agree. I think it is political in many ways because, as I said earlier in my monologue, that Trump's approval rating is at 37%. He's trying to find ways to gin up his base and to support his base,
Yes,
especially just before the election, with the elections that we're having in the United States today. Um, Listen, it concerns me greatly. I mean, it concerns me for many reasons. I mean, I think that, when the president of the United States comes out and focuses extensively on Christians and protecting Christians and saying Nigeria isn't doing enough. Listen, let me tell you, from my own personal experience, trying to fight extremism, as you know, I mean,
yes,
fighting extremism is extremely difficult. Okay,
yes.
getting rid of radicalized religious factions is extremely difficult, especially in a country as large as Nigeria. But I think that what happens is that when you make statements like that, he's empowering the extremists. He's showing that he's given their base the
Yes,
thought that, hey, we are making a difference. We are doing what we need to do. We must continue. And I think that if he wants to tamp out extremism, you shouldn't empower extremism by saying, hey, you're being successful.
that's very correct because it gives them some kind of gusto that we're being recognized. And of course, one of the objectives of terrorism is publicity. And they do certain things. They go and blow up places to attract attention, to either their cause or whatever. So this particular issue, you are very right, has given them a lot of publicity, from a personality like the President of the United States. So they feel that, yes, we are being recognized, our impact is being felt all over the world.
Yeah. So in your experience in Nigeria, how do you think the president there should respond?
I think he's already doing a good job by the first statement that he has given out, explaining that this is not a genocidal, thing where they're killing Christians. They kill both sides. And then, of course, the government itself has been doing a lot. The defense budget in Nigeria is the highest, and he has just changed his service chiefs. And these chiefs, the direction he gave to them was to go out and take care of this problem, even before Trump made that statement. So they are really doing something about it. It's a problem of Nigeria where they've had this for more than 16 years, and I think once and for all, I'm happy in a way that America has to come in to, talk about this. So it has also gingered the government to, if they were lackadaisical about it, to give it more attention and make sure that these bandits or terrorists, whoever they are, put in their place.
Well, as you can imagine, to me, it doesn't make a difference who the president of Nigeria is. I mean, it's an important country, but I will say that just from my own understanding and what I've seen is that that the government is doing a lot in order to, this is where they need to make it very clear. If you look at the reports that are coming out, they have definitely decreased the amount of terrorism that's taking place in the country. But the other issue I must say is that a lot of people who operate as terrorists, a lot of this is done for economic reasons as well, right? So we have to rebuild and make the
Yes.
Nigerian economy stronger because I think that will do more because the military can only kill so many people. We have to build a better economy to address some of this stuff as well. But in all fairness, the government has done a tremendous amount, and even what's interesting is that Trump's own special envoy to Africa, who was in the Vatican the other day or in Italy the other day,
Hmm.
said that the Christian genocide wasn't happening. His own special envoy was saying that, and yet 2 days later, 3 days later, Trump comes out with this statement. And there was a report, I think in the New York Times today, that says what caused this is Trump was watching a Fox News story about it and decided, oh, I'm going to get all upset. And I think that in his mind, honestly, I do believe in his mind, he's thinking, hey, this is a way I can increase my poll numbers by saying that I'm going to protect Christians.
That's correct.
So yeah, and this is where, President Tinubu and others, publicly, they have to understand the reality. They have to understand that we're not dealing with, President Trump has done a lot of great, wonderful things, done a lot of things that I don't like. I've made it very clear on the show. But the reality is, you have to, as a world leader, you have to think about how you respond, that you're not pandering to him and understand exactly what's happening. And I do think the government can do a little bit better job in how they do that. But I want to make very clear that I think the government's doing a tremendous job in fighting terrorism um, in the country. So another question to you is do you think that Trump's intervention or whatever he's talking about will have an impact in the next election?
Well, we have an history in Nigeria about American intervention in Nigerian elections. When the previous government came into power, they were pandering to the Obama government, and in fact, they took a delegation to Washington, where they had meetings with the foreign minister, the for Department of State, Mr. Kerry. They had that meeting, and then, of course, later in the election, there were some elements, resources from the United States that came to Nigeria to help in trying to get that government into power. So, right now, many Nigerians are saying that this is karma because now the American government is, also listening to some religious leaders who have gone to Congress and who have gone to some top officials in the United States government to tell them that Christians are being killed. And then, of course, Trump has picked it up and said, all right, if this is the case, I'm going to come into Nigeria and do this. Now, this is an election is coming up. And it's just like Venezuela, where there's going to be a regime change. And if there is a foreign power, doing some kind of activities in your country, I think the chances of the incumbent to win election might be very, very tricky. So yes, it could affect the elections, but I think if they are able to nip it in the bud by trying to have a conciliatory position, then maybe it will not affect the elections.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I think that, I think President Tinubu is, I think he's definitely going to have a difficult path, but it is possible. But he just has to continue on this path because what I want to say to the world who watches the show is that it's not just extremism in Nigeria. The reality is that these extremists then grow and go to other parts of the world as well. It's like a training ground. So
Yes,
fighting extremism is important to the world. It's not just a U.S. problem, it's a European problem. And Nigeria is on the front lines of this, and they're doing a tremendous job. They can always, every country can always do better. And they always can,
definitely.
no doubt about that. But they're doing a tremendous job. That's number one. And number two is I would implore the President of the United States to talk about if he's going to come into Nigeria, which is a sovereign nation, by the way, is made it very clear, to
Hmm.
protect Christians. He should come and to protect all faiths. Okay, and this is where his narrative needs to change. He needs to come to protect all faiths because it's wrong that any faith, any people are being persecuted by terrorists and extremists. And that's what, this isn't just about Christians, it's about all religions. And we need to remember that. Listen,
Yeah.
Dennis, I really appreciate it. Sadly, we run out of time, but thank you for being with us today on Around the World with Dane Waters. And
Thank you
thanks,
again.
audience, for watching again today, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.